The Montreal Canadiens have the chance to do something amazing as Lane Hutson's brother Cole Hutson is shooting up the draft rankings, and Montreal is in a prime position to take a guy who plays just like Lane but scores more and is more physical. We got to get into the possibility of Montreal picking Cole Hutson with maybe the Winnipeg Jets pick, which we now know will land maybe higher than we thought it would originally. That plus a note on some of the most outstanding prospects for the Habs in the month of April, all coming up on this episode of Habs Digest. So stick around, Jesse. We're going to open it up with some prospect talk. And there were some surprisingly solid performances in the month of April. And the Habs Eye on the Prize did their little resume of the best players in the Habs organization. Cole Caufield winning it for the NHL. There's a couple guys I wanted to mention too, Jesse. One, Oliver Kapanen, who had a phenomenal playoffs over in Europe. He won the European Prospect of the Month. He had 7 goals, 7 assists in 13 games, I believe, something like that. Outstanding. But also the AHL Player of the Month, Lias, Andersson, and he was amazing down the final stretch. He had I think it was 8 points in 6 games down the final stretch. He was one of the team's most reliable producers with 45 points in 53 games. Now, he is a restricted free agent, I believe, at the end of the season. He would need a qualifying offer. I'm not sure if Montreal's going to give it to him, but based on his performance with Laval and some of the outstanding moments he's had this year, I feel like if they could come to maybe a bit of an agreement, why not keep him around for AHL depth? I don't know. What do you think about Lias Andersson?
That would be great because he played really well when it mattered the most on a very young Laval Rocket team, right? Kind of as a vet, somebody with at least a little bit of NHL experience, that matters a lot, right? Really important for our AHL club to kind of have some experience there as well, right? But I know we're hearing rumors that maybe he's heading over to Europe and everything else, and hard to kind of fault him for that at this point in his career, right? But if that is the case, we're definitely going to need to find some type of replacement just to kind of get a little bit of that experience back.
Yeah, he's super skilled, right? He was the 7th overall pick for a reason, but we brought him into Laval for a reason. There was thought maybe he'd play a bit for Montreal. He was really good for Laval, surprisingly solid. I thought he fit in really well with the team. If it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be, but just wanted to highlight some of that. But Jesse, maybe a quick note on Oliver Kapanen. Looking for Laval next year. I know we talk about him a bit, but can we just give another moment? I know we talk about him a bit, but just to highlight just how surprisingly good, shockingly good he was in the playoffs in Europe. People his age don't do that.
Right. And he's got the offense as well. But what I liked, similar to Arber Xhekaj, is he plays with a little bit of an edge, chip on his shoulder, as we'll kind of get into in a little bit. But what's nice is that he's learning how to not cross that line. I think that's so exciting for players that you want them to play with an edge and to be competitive, but then also not to hurt your team by being in the penalty box. So I'm really liking to see just his overall game just really developing, and can't wait to see him here in North America.
Okay, yeah, waiting for that. Cannot wait either. But we'll move on. We'll move on from the Habs prospect stuff to some more interesting stuff, because we got some great information about a Habs draft pick, and that's the Winnipeg Jets draft pick. Now, as you guys know, the Winnipeg Jets were officially eliminated from the playoffs. So what does that mean for the Habs draft pick? Well, without going into the depths of how the draft order works, because it can get a little complicated, what we know for sure now is while this shows Montreal the 27th pick, it can't be any lower than that. Montreal is now guaranteed between the 24th and 27th pick now that Winnipeg is out of the playoffs. And Jesse, we'll get into a player that we hope that they will pick in the next segment of the video, in Cole Hutson. But this trade is looking to be one of the better, well, just the whole Sean Monahan saga, I guess, is probably going to go down as one of the better trades in recent memory. Of course, we're going to have to see who the Habs pick and all this stuff. Now, for the record, the Habs also originally got a 3rd-round pick in this trade, but because Winnipeg didn't win the Stanley Cup, Montreal no longer gets that. Oh, too bad. Oh, well. But, yeah, I just wanted to highlight this trade, Jesse, and it kind of all turned out best-case scenario for Montreal with Winnipeg losing. It's turning out to be even better than we thought, and I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah, getting another chance, for another 1st rounder. And mind you, if we're picking around that 24 sort of range, this is higher than where we've picked a Logan Mailloux, a Cayden, Guhle, right? So this is really an impact player that you can really get. And there's a lot of rumors. Are we going to use this possible pick to try and maybe move up with our kind of 1st overall pick that we have? Well, our 1st selection, rather, I guess I should say.
It's going to be
first. It's going to be really interesting to see where this really falls, right? But I really like, obviously, Sean Monahan, the gift that keeps on giving, now giving us an opportunity at Cole Hutson. Josh, what do you think about this player?
Well, Cole Hutson, he is absolutely unbelievable, and Montreal has a chance to just do something that would just be hilarious because Montreal just loves brothers. They just loved the Pitlicks when we had them. They loved the Xhekajs. And now we have a chance to do it with the Hutsons. Cole Hutson, in an article from The Athletic today from Scott Wheeler, it just highlighted some of the amazing stuff, and they said our team's going to make the same mistake twice with Cole Hutson. Guys, he broke the National Development Program's all-time scoring record by a defenseman. He had 113 points in 109 games. When he tied the record, he did it in 100 fewer games than the previous record holder. 23 more points than Lane, who had 90 points in 109 games. Cruz passed names like Luke Hughes and Quinn Hughes, Adam Fox. I believe that's Seth Jones, I think. Anyway, but he's got more of a chip on his shoulder than Lane. Lane was an extremely hard worker, almost to a fault, out there working hard, putting himself in position, doing too much, but Cole's got a bit of a better balance. He's solid on defense as well, and mock drafts have him a bit everywhere. This is Sportsnet's number 22, undersized defenseman with fantastic vision, power play quarterback. He's elusive. Where have you heard that before? Final thing I wanted to show, Jesse. Look at where he's mocked. This is from Elite Prospects. People have him as high as 24, or even on that Sportsnet one I just showed you, 22, and as low as 55. This Winnipeg pick is the perfect position. If Montreal feels that they got a shot to take Cole Hutson, I think they will do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so happy that we're getting a chance to talk about this player because what amazing production, right? Outpacing Lane Hutson, outpacing Adam Fox with the national development team for the US. Absolutely unreal. And the fact that we're seeing better offensive numbers, but then that his defensive play is even better too. He's willing to kind of play the body a little bit more. And even his coach are going to have to tell him, like, you know, try not to body check so much. It might not work so well at the next level, but just saying that this player engages defensively, right? So amazing to see all the same kind of head shooks and everything like that, the shoulder fakes as with Lane. So this is such an intriguing prospect to really kind of contemplate if the Habs should take him. And, you know, part of me is kind of saying that you want to spread out that skill in that size. So that being said, that maybe having like two defenders that are a little bit smaller doesn't make sense, but I don't know. Like, I just don't want to bet against a Hudson. It's like, prove me wrong, Cole. Prove me wrong, because this guy's a fierce competitor. Like, when you have this amount of talent, but then also that you just have a determination to win, like a laser-like focus. Like, I think him and Marty would get along so well. More competitive than Lane Hutson somehow. It's like, you have to feel like that's an amazing combination. But there's a reason why this player is the way that he is he was saying, like, in the offseason, their father owns a rink. They're able just to train themselves, the Hudson brothers, the 4 of them together. And that's where they really push each other to bring out the best in their game. So this is really where it's coming from. Just what I'm seeing from the Hudsons right now, I just think you have to be impressed with the whole family.
Yeah, and guys, just another thing too. Like, I know we talk about how he's going to be small again. He's listed at 5'10", 165, which is about the same as what Lane is right now, almost identical. But don't forget that when Lane was drafted, he was drafted at 5'8", like 150 pounds. So if Cole follows the same growth trajectory, maybe he grows up to be over 6 feet tall. Now that's one of the biggest ifs ever. And like, look, realistically, Cole Hutson is really cool. Do you really want to double up on, like, he basically does the same stuff Lane does? Is it the best idea to double up on a guy like that? I don't know. Maybe it's not the best idea. But what you can't ever have enough of is that kind of personality, that kind of drive, that kind of guy that just wants to succeed no matter what. And when you have a brother in the organization, it's clear that these guys have the motivation to play together. Hey, it's worked in the past for other teams, right? Why can't it work for Montreal? You see it going on in New Jersey right now with Jack and Luke. Maybe Quinn someday. I don't know. We saw it in Vancouver with the Sedins. Now, there's lots of examples where it didn't work out. For example, Rem Pitlick and Tyler Pitlick for Montreal. Well, hey, you know, you win some, you lose some. But Jesse, when it comes to, like, getting a guy, you already have his brother, who's a very, very similar player in the system. I feel like you're more inclined, you're more inclined to pick someone like this, and you probably have way better windows into what he is like than almost any other team out there.
Absolutely. You know, that being said, is you definitely want to spread out the love, you know, with your defensemen. You don't want them to just be all offensive type of guys. And then even then you kind of want some variety in terms of the size and everything else. But it's so crazy to say that, you know, Lane Hutson, he's really just proving all the old stereotypes that we had as being wrong. Like, I'm starting to think about now, maybe there is a day in the not so distant future in the NHL where you have two smaller guys, but that are just so good offensively that obviously they're not just NHL players, but they're star NHL players. Like, all the limitations that we put on Lane Hutson, he's just surpassed them. And that's the reason maybe why they're so competitive and why they have the chip on their shoulders. They're hearing about the size all the time, but they're just saying, but look at me on the ice. I dominate the other team every time that I'm out there. And I think that that really needs to count for something. It's amazing to see that so many teams might sleep on him again, but I think that for this time around, Cole Hutson, just because of Lane, will probably get picked up a little bit earlier just because people are now realizing what a goal mine they have in a type of player like Lane Hutson.
It's going to be a very interesting story to follow. And like realistically, maybe he doesn't fit exactly what Montreal needs. Another offensive left-handed defenseman. Do you really need another left-handed D right now? Probably not, but at the same time, it's about drafting talent, and you never really know. And those late first-round picks, Jesse, as we all know, lots of teams get some really good players down there. We talked about the Stars before we even started recording. Don't forget, Logan Stankoven was a second-round pick. Wyatt Johnston was 23rd overall, and there's lots of other stories of stuff like that, even within the Habs organization. But we'd love to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on picking Cole Hutson? I know a lot of you are probably going to say, no thanks, we don't need another small person, and hey, I might agree with you, but leave your comments down below because we'd love to have that discussion. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. You guys have been supporting like crazy. Thank you so much for watching every single one of these videos. We really appreciate it. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.